So it's hard making it in this world as an individual. It's hard surviving as a single individual person. There's a poem by Maya Angelou called Alone. She's saying nobody can make it alone, right? But some people can make it alone. You got some people strong enough, but for the most part, on average, the average person is not capable of surviving as an individual person. That's why a lot of people are willing to sacrifice freedom, sacrifice their dignity in order to tag along with a group or to be submissive to an individual that's taking care of them. They say without them, they would die in this world. It's not like we're animals, and where as soon as the animal is capable of walking or flying, it's thrown out the nest, and it has to fend for itself. But some animals survive as a group. You have the wolves, the wolf pack, the hyenas. What else? You have the lions. They hunt as a group. But the animals that's being hunted, they also move as a group. So even in the animal kingdom, the power of a group of people is very obvious. Your chances of survival as a group, as opposed to an individual, is increased. But some animals, they're so powerful and they're so feared, they can move as an individual and survive, But for the most part, the average creature on Earth can't really survive as an individual. So the purpose of making this video is to try to encourage the people watching to take advantage of groups. Not necessarily exploit groups, but if you have people in your circle, even in your family, don't waste opportunities to pool resources to acquire the things that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to acquire as an individual. For instance, 5 people make $20,000 a year. Just say they make $20,000 a year. But they say, I can't afford a building. I can't go get a 4-flat building because I only got $20,000 a year. Plus, when I, deduct all of my expenses and I only probably got like nothing at the end of the year. I have nothing at the end of the year. But 5 people together, that increases to $100,000 a year. If you just see yourself as a corporation, that's what a corporation is. A corporation is a group of individuals acting as one. That's what a country is, really. So there's no such thing as a poor people. There's only poor individuals. You see, division weakens the group. That's what the conquistadors did to conquer Mexico, and that's what the United States Caucasians did to undermine and conquer the Native Americans. Divide and conquer. Turn one against the other. Let those people fight. Let the Iroquois fight the Algonquin. Ally with the Iroquois, and then we just gonna kill whoever wins, Because we see ourselves as a group. See, United States, you see themselves. That's the one thing they hold on to, is being united as a group. They don't want to be divided because they know the day they could become divided, the day they divide is the day they lose everything. But individuals out here, especially on YouTube, teaching so-called black people that black people are so-called poor and an average so-called black person is only worth $10, right? They teaching this. But the metrics they use is looking at their net income when you subtract the debt, student loan debt, mortgage debt, this and that, credit card debt, and when you deduct all of that, then you say they're worth only $10, right? But the one so-called good thing about the United States is a lot of the law is based on the Bible, because the president has to put their hand on the Bible and the Quran also. But in the Bible, the scriptures, is written after 7 years, you're free from your debt. So that's the law in America. If your debt is over 7 years, by law, you can get it deleted off your record. It's the same as not true for your criminal record. but it could be. With your debt, you could be free from your debt after 7 years. And it's why the so-called indentured servants, the Caucasian slaves that came over here, they was given freedom after being a servant for 7 years because their debt expired. That's biblical law. And the same is true for the so-called blacks. A lot of so-called black people, if their debt is over 7 years, and it's really, this is the so-called law. If you don't pay your bill in 7 years, they begin the time in which you can get it canceled at the point in which you stop paying. Because if you just all of a sudden start paying your debt, if it was 6 years old and you just start paying it, the 7 year period will reset. But if you just didn't pay your debt for 7 years, it'll be deleted. And you have a fresh start. So there's no poor people. And the so-called black people are actually wealthy. But the reason we're seen as being poverty is because there's so many different sectors and groups. And the individual are encouraged to see each other as enemies. So when you see yourself as an enemy and you see the person across the street from you as an enemy, you will never work together to purchase the block or to purchase a city or to purchase a bank or purchase a school. Like we got people now on the internet, and the black conscious people. We got Umar Johnson. He used the principle that Marcus Garvey used, group economics, grassroots economics, get the people to invest in the idea. And it actually worked. He raised the money. But at the same time, you got people saying he's a con artist. He's a scam artist. He's doing what any other corporation do. Hedge funds do. They got people coming together to invest. Really, the hedge fund chooses what to invest in because the investors only are concerned with bringing in a profit, an annual or monthly profit, dividends. You could choose what you want to invest in. But Umar told you want to invest in a school to teach black boys. And he actually has the school. They say, why the school ain't coming yet, Instead of you just focusing on him, one individual, we should have like 1,000 Umar Johnsons having different ideas to invest in. Not just a school, not just a total real estate. Like anything can be purchased collectively. Abandoned cities, we have abandoned cities in America. And also individuals, families can purchase abandoned property as a group if they put their income together. Ain't no way you got 20 members of your family, each person making at least 10, 20, 30,000. There's no way you shouldn't be able to purchase buildings just for the family alone. And you could just fire your landlord and just pay so-called taxes or whatever. But this is the idea. There's no real poverty. The only poverty exists subjectively because we see a number. Like you look at mathematics, you could look at a number in many ways, right? You could look at 10 million as a whole. That's 10 million. Or you could look at 10 to the 7th power. I think 10 to the, no, what's 10 to the 3rd power, 10 times 10 times 10, 7 zeros. 10 to the 7th power is 10 million, right? But a person looking at that, oh, that's just 10. If they don't understand mathematics, they think it's just 10, but they don't realize 10 to the magnitude of 7, which is 10 million. Or you could look at it this way. 10 times 1,000, which is 10,000, times 100, which is 1,000,000, times 1 times 10. So the number don't look as good as just 10 million because it's been divided up. See what I'm saying? Subtracted, divided, multiplied, but it's still the same number. You still got 40 million so-called blacks. And each person has a median income. And if each median income was $10, you got $400 million. Even if that's the income after all of the expenses. If everybody just got $10 just to waste at the end of the year, that's $400 million. Some countries probably don't even have $400 million. You see a group of people is very powerful. And when you actually work as a group of people, you actually, how should I say this? You compress time together. You magnify time. So one person, the work of one person is like horsepower with a car. You know, you get the power of 400 horses in one engine, right? You could get the power of 40 million people in 1 year. Now, 40 million people working as 1 year, you could get 40 million years worth of progress done, as opposed to one person trying to get 1 year of progress done. Or if it's two people, you get 2 years worth of progress done if them two people worked as a group for a year, as opposed to one person working on their own different projects, and they never overlap, so nobody never gets anything accomplished because the group is not really working together. This is the principle behind supercomputing. What supercomputers do, you have thousands of processors working together to accomplish a single task. So what would have took 40,000 years worth of processing would just probably take 1 minute, because you got 50,000 or 1,000,000 processors working on the same project. See what I'm saying? And the internet is a supercomputer because you have millions of computers working together. They got something called data processing farming, in which you could donate your processing power to these massive projects to help them compute these, or to help them solve these problems. Or render, you got render farms, which it takes a lot of CPU power to render animations, but you could use like a whole bunch of different computers and they work together to get that animation rendered quickly. Or with data mining, with Bitcoin and whatnot, you got a whole bunch of computers and GPUs working together to get these massive calculations accomplished quickly, as opposed to just one little computer trying to accomplish these massive tasks. And the same thing is for the society. A group of people has a better chance of building a community and having sustainable resources and success, even against attacks and foreign invaders, as opposed to just one person or a group of individuals who don't share common interests. Because if you have a shared interest, attacking that person is attacking you, because if you attack that person, that's going to inadvertently directly affect me. So it's in my interest to help defend that person, because we all need each other to be successful. But as an individual group or individual person, it's very difficult to get anything accomplished on a massive scale. That's why you have these scams, these groups of people telling you to pump a stock, and then they're going to dump on the member. It's basically multi-level marketing, pulling all these fools to invest in GameStop, and the person who told them to invest is the one dumping on them, stealing all their money. Because the only way an individual can really get rich is for that individual to convince a massive amount of people to give them money, either by selling them products, providing a service, or just conning them, or telling them it's their obligation to do it. Like, you got to pay us taxes, or you got to pay us tribute. Like a king will say, all the people we conquer got to pay us tribute, and we're protecting you. So it's like you're not just paying us tribute, and we're not going to protect you. We're going to defend you against the enemies, because you got to pay us a tribute, annual tribute or weekly tribute, whatever, taxes. But this is how wealth is stolen from the masses, because the masses of people are always wealthy. They will never not be wealthy, because the masses of people, if you really want to look at it scientifically, we all represent energy that comes from the sun. We just harness sunlight, and the sun is the most magnificent power in the sky. Really, the known universe, because we don't know what's beyond the sky other than what they're telling us. And this energy is emitting from the heavens, from the Most High. Now, collectively, we all represent that, because we eat the food that comes from the sunlight. You know, we get the photosynthesis. Like, literally, we are sunlight energy, and our work and labor represents that. That's what money really represents, the energy that comes from the sun, which comes from the Most High. So it'll always be wealthy. And this is all the animals, all of the creatures that's alive, all of the plant life, the water, the air, oxygen, all of this comes from the energy. from the sun. Because without that, it'd be freezing, blistering cold. Things would be too solid to even consume if it wasn't for the sun. So this is really stealing the energy from the Most High when they rob the people of their wealth, because we will never not be wealthy. And when we start working as individual groups, and this was said in the book of Proverbs by King Solomon, he said, 2 people are better than 1, because if the one fall, the other can pick him up. But if the one person fall, there's nobody to pick him up, you stuck. So 2 is always better than 1, but the masses are always better than 2. And you can get many things accomplished working as a group. You know, not even just building a school, build a business, institutions. This is the reason the so-called Negro was very successful after the Reconstruction and during segregation, is because we were allowed to harness all of our wealth and resources for self. By law, we couldn't really spend money with nobody else. So that by default made us a very powerful and wealthy people. And what integration did, they really wanted us to give them the money, give them the wealth. Really, because nothing has changed other than them just getting all of our money. You never see like Caucasians or anybody else, Mexicans or nothing, coming to the black community spending nothing. It's always blacks going to their communities, giving them all the money. But I think I said enough right now.